about 15 years ago, I bought this old floor jack at a yard sale for $5. The lady told me it didn't work, but I knew it could be fixed, so I brought it home and it just leaked down. The lift cylinder leaked down pretty quick, so I dumped some Trans X in it, and the jacks worked for at least 10 years suitably well. However, in the last few years, it has increasingly been leaking down and leaking down faster and faster, so it's become unpractical to use it for holding the vehicle up for any kind of work. Buy a new jack. Obviously, I could buy a new jack, but this is a good old jack. This is very heavy. This is a heavy-duty jack. It'll last my lifetime if I can fix it. So I decided to fix it, or try to fix it. I found out it had leather seals. I was going to make my own, and then I remembered that the lift cylinder also leaked down. So those are probably much bigger seals, and they may not be leather, not something I could make. So I got online, and I'll be darned if I didn't find this company right here that I was able to order this parts kit for this old jack, model number in the upper right. It's an old Walker. It's a Walker, what is it, a 767. I think it's probably 50 years old, but I was able to find parts for it, and the parts cost me $60. But, you know, a new jack would probably cost, a decent one would cost just a couple hundred, and if this works, I'm going to have a really good jack that's going to last me a long time. It'll be fun restoring it in the process. So, going over it real quick, it's pretty simple. It's got a lift cylinder, like most any floor jack. It's got a lift cylinder under here, pretty big size bore. I haven't taken that apart yet. It's got a hydraulic pump right here. I don't know if you can see this part right here. This is a hydraulic pump, it's spring loaded. And then right here, turned by the handle, is a lock valve, a hydraulic lock valve. And those are the three basic parts to this thing. So I'm going to take it apart and we'll go over it and see what needs to be fixed and hope that these parts will fix it and see if I can make it work. But as it is, it's scrap. So see what happens. Okay, first thing is I'm going to unscrew. Actually, this is a locking pin. So that comes out. Set that aside. This is the, I don't know what this is called, but I'm going to pull these cotter pins out here, which will allow me to slide these little axles out. Pretty simple on both sides. Okay, we're going to remove this hydraulic pump and we'll take it apart in the vise. And like I said, I already dismantled it to this point already, so all the fluid's gone for the most part. And this hydraulic pump has a piston, a really small piston pump in it. You can see the end of it here. We'll take it apart after we take this retainer out. Okay, so I got these snap ring pliers, and I'm going to try to open that retainer up. There we go. That should come off pretty easily now. I could still lose it. It's pretty soft, malleable clip. So save that. And now, if we carefully open the vise up, we can see the different parts here. It's got a washer, a cup, a spring, another cup, and then the piston pump, which, or pump piston, which is right here. So we need to drive this pin out. When you pump on the handle, the handle holder pushes on this, and it's just a pump. It's just a piston. All it does is creates pressure in small diameter, so it creates a lot of pressure. And then the valves, check valves, and the lock valve, hydraulic lock valve, do hold the pressure for the lift cylinder to hold the vehicle in place. So I'm going to drive this pin out here. There it goes. The pin just dropped out. And there's our piston. And you can see these seals here were leather. And that's what we're going to replace, among other things. So we'll set these parts aside. Okay, next step is I need to get this to this lift cylinder. And sorry I don't have a ratchet here. I just don't. I have one somewhere. Shop's kind of a mess. But we'll get these off in time. And of course I do have a ratchet after all, which will help a lot with audience patience, I'm sure. Interesting looking bolt, shoulder bolt, I guess that's called. Yeah. Ooh, that one doesn't want to come out very easily. But this is just such a heavy duty. It's only 1.5 ton floor jack, but it's just heavy duty. It's not like the aluminum ones now. Those aluminum ones are really nice. I can't say that I've ever actually used one, but I've lifted one and they're awfully lightweight, easy to throw around. But this is staying on my shop. It's not really going anywhere else. I'm not carting around the back of my truck or taking it to a racetrack or anything like that. I'm just, oh, maybe I don't have to take this thing completely apart to get the lift cylinder out. Oh, cool. That'd be awesome. I'm thinking that might be the case. I think once I get these 4 bolts out, I bet this, I'm hoping that lift cylinder will come out. Maybe it won't. We're going to find out. One more bolt to go after this one. And I'm probably going to disassemble the whole thing and pressure wash and degrease it really good. If my parts fit in the hydraulic parts of this jack, I'll probably and I'm confident that they're gonna seal. They're in good condition that they'll seal. I'll probably tear this thing down and degrease it and then paint it, make it look newer. Find me some red paint or maybe orange. I'll probably paint orange. I use Kubota orange on a lot of my equipment, so I might do that. So, let's see what we got here. Yeah, I think this is going to come out. I just need to pull this cotter pin. Ooh, this is great. This will make it a lot easier to disassemble. So, get me some needle nose pliers here. And you can't see what I'm doing, but... And you know, I can't imagine that my son told me, oh, I've got a floor jack that doesn't work. I wonder if I could fix it. And well, they're all probably basically the same. I can't imagine they're terribly different. The tricky part's going to be finding the parts. But I'll tell you what, hydraulic parts are kind of standardized. Seals, O-rings, they're just not that, you'll be able to find what you need if you look around enough, I think. This, I'm guessing, should just slide right out. So I need to take these springs off. That might be tricky. There's always a way. Freehand, it'll be done. Okay, I got to remember that angle bent end goes on the pin and the round bent end goes on the block. Right there. Glad I got that on video. Not that I wouldn't figure it out, but so there's a return springs. I'm hoping, there it is. So there is the lift cylinder. We're going to take this frame away because it's just mechanical parts that just need to be cleaned up and painted and oiled and put back together. Okay, I'm just going to wire brush the grease off this and Spray it with a little WD-40. I might degrease it, see how clean it gets. I got the compressor here. Spray it with a little WD-40, which is a pretty good greaser. This side here's got probably a couple check valves here. I'm not sure, but I don't think it shows that on my parts diagram I found online. Okay, clean enough. This cap off, and here's one of the seals right here. I'm guessing if I could pump this up, which I can't, but if I could probably push this this rod right out. So you can see the rod moves up and down freely, and right or wrong, the piston seals are at the end of the rod in the cylinder, but right or wrong, I'm going to remove these gland seals out the top because I'm not sure if I can get this rod out without taking this retainer out, and I don't have a proper spanner wrench to do that. So I'm going to pull this guy out the top. Yeah, and then I got, see what's in here. Kind of hard to see, but I don't know if that ring's screwed in. I don't think it is. I'm not quite sure how it's retained. Oh, there it is. There we go. That's what I wanted. Perfect. This is likely leaking. This is the piston seal, and that is likely leaking, which is probably why it was leaking down. So, yeah, we'll just clean this up and hope all my parts are correct and see if I can get it back together. I still may have to disassemble the base block more because there's going to be some check valves in there that could also be part of the problem that I will need to replace. Or clean up at least. Okay, apparently there's some seals in there that are keeping this from coming out. I just got them. So here we go. That's a big mess. So that's what was holding that in place. That's probably what does all the sealing right there, I think. Hopefully these parts are easy to replace. Don't know. Find out. Now I got to get this apart. And this is a big mystery, but we're just going to do it. Bigger screwdriver. There we go. And there's a screw in there. Perfect. Let's do the other one. I don't want to damage any part. Rips inside. Hopefully I didn't. That should pop out. There we go. There's another screw. Don't know if you can see in there that there's screws in both of these that probably protect check valves and springs. So I'm going to blow this out and we'll take it apart a little further. So I've had a heck of a time getting these two valves out of here. There's cover cap screws that cover both of them. This one I cannot get out. I've tried it even at impact and it just won't come out. I have not taken this one out yet. This one, the screw backs out really easy. Should be, all the parts should fall out now. I'm going to lay some paper towel down here or turn it upside down and see what falls out. Well, that's really plugged up. I'm assuming it went in this way. So we'll get that cleaned up, put back in, but I'm not going to be able to take this apart. Okay, Okay, so it's the following morning, and it is 39 degrees in the shop, so I can fire up the old kerosene heater that I'm burning diesel in. I worked a lot on this thing last night, and it's pretty concerning to me that I cannot get all of these check balls out. I've got a check ball here, or a check valve here, and a check valve here. Hope you can see that. I just can't get the plugs out. This is an Allen, and I'm just bending my Allen wrenches. So I think they're peened in so that they can't be removed. So I've just cleaned it up as best I could and blown air through every orifice to determine that the check balls that are there seem to be working correctly, and I think they are. We've got the fill port here. We've got a check ball port here that I was able to remove. We'll service that today. The lock or release valve, and then the pump port. And this is just really clean. Everything seems to be fine. The reservoir, which is alongside the cylinder, outside of the cylinder here, see the ports in it seem to be open. So I'm going to work on this lock valve next. I got to replace these seals, which shouldn't be that big a deal. I'm going to have to. It's a tight little bugger. Okay, I've been soaking my seals overnight in hydraulic oil. All of them, although the leather ones are probably the only ones that really need it. These are a fiber seal, I'm pretty sure. But they're the right ones. It's really amazing I was able to find a kit for this. It's an awfully old. Finally that heater went off. Now I'm having a hard time getting this little retainer on. So I had to find a little piece of pipe. There we go. It's not quite the right size, but that's why I save junk, because you never know when you're going to need it. And then this guy on. And then the actual retaining ring or clip. I don't want to drop this. So I've got a pile of sawdust underneath me here to absorb all the hydraulic oil. And I'm afraid I would probably lose it. There we go. Pretty tight fit. I'm thinking that'll hold it. All right. Next is this new piston seal. And that seal is really hard. The old one was definitely leather. I think that's leather, but I'm not. All right, we got a little problem here. I got a little overzealous in trying to fit this seal into the cylinder, and I obviously screwed it up. And it definitely is leather, and it has not, even though it was soaked overnight, it did not soak up really any of the hydraulic fluid. I'm sure there's a secret to this that a good friend of mine could have told me about, but didn't work. So that seal is not going to work. And if this seal doesn't work, the jack will leak down. I'm going to be forced to use the old one, which I think, as I said earlier, looks good. It's still got some flex to it. So it's quite possible that under pressure this will hold. And I'm just hoping that one of the check balls, or perhaps the valve lock, it was the problem with this jack. If not, and this was the problem, I'm probably not going to buy another kit. It would not be worth it, and I really don't think that this seal would work. Pretty bad. Goofed it up pretty bad. I thought I had it, but didn't. Okay, I've lubed up the new seal nicely on the end of this rod, and I'm wiggling it down in. There it goes, no problem. That one. I've rebuilt a handful of hydraulic cylinders for my tractors in the past, and I've always had trouble with the seals, but not as much as this one. And I had no way to compress it. Actually, I thought of a way in hindsight, but too late for that. So yeah, I just don't think this guy would work. It's pretty shot. So we got that, and then this ring drops on top of here, and then I've got these seals that go here, and I'm probably going to drive those down one at a time. Actually, they push down pretty easily, so we'll just drop them in there. I think these are called gland seals. Using lots of hydraulic oil. I also don't have a proper spanner wrench to tighten this down, but we'll get it. I'll figure out a way. Okay, I'm going to screw this lock valve in. Got it lubed up really good. Seems to fit well. Tighten up this lock ring. Okay, next we're going to start on this pump. Got 3 leather seals and a rubber seal. On the piston here. Get my new seals out. There's a rubber seal. What do we got here? Here it is. It's cupped on the bottom. That's it. That's the one. Put the washer back on and the nut back on. Tighten that up. this should be a little easier to install in the bore of the pump piston because it's tapered and I can slide it through from one end. So I'll probably put that on the vise and check it out. See how it. Okay, I got that assembled. Got it sliding back and forth. It's pretty tight, but I'm going to go ahead and put the pin in. Okay, I've got the pump and then the spring retainer goes together like so, and now I've got to compress it so I can put the ring on, the retaining ring. So I'm going to use this valve spring compressor. Okay, so I had to do a little adjustment on the valve spring compressor. Slip this lock ring over here. Give it a squeeze in a couple different directions. There we go. Now the pump's ready to go. Okay, ready to screw the pump into the base or valve body. It's odd there's no seal there, no copper ring. There's nothing in the kit that even resembles that size. Nothing came out when I removed it, so I'm just going to screw it in. Then I'll tighten this up. Okay, we've got the lift cylinder assembled with the pump. We're going to put it back in the frame. Hope this thing works. Fill it up with fluid. Get these springs in here. Everything feels nice and smooth. It's just a matter of whether or not the seals are going to work. And the check balls. I just got lucky on one spring. There we go. Roll that down into position. Get these bolts in. It's a mystery as whether or not this is actually going to work. I'm a little bit disappointed that I wasn't able to get some of those check balls out and service those, because those could be a deal breaker for sure. I'm a lot disappointed that I destroyed the lift cylinder seal. That was a big deal. Now those, the lift cylinder seal, that doesn't work, nothing will work. Of course, the same's true with the rest of the parts. Check balls and so on. Time will tell. This is just one of those projects that you don't really know if it's worth doing for sure if you haven't done it before, and I have not done it before. I didn't expect it would be as hard as it was. And I'll never have to buy another jack, and I won't have to buy a cheap Chinese jack that's going to fail like my sons did after, whatever, 4 or 5 years. I don't suppose I have to put the cotter pins in these shafts. I don't want to for the time being. Look at that. All right, let me get some oil and we'll see what happens. Okay, I got it all filled up with hydraulic fluid. I haven't cleaned it up. I've operated it a couple times, and what I can tell you right now is the seals are still a little stiff, but this thing's right now lifting higher than it ever did since I've owned it in 15 years, and wow, all the way to the stop. Open up the release valve and she drops back down nicely. So the next thing is going to be to pressure test it and check for leaks. I'm assuming there'll be a leak, but we'll see. Okay, we got my Kubota L185 DT, and we got the jack underneath it. It's a pretty heavy little tractor. We're going to put the pressure test to the jack and check for leaks, and we'll let it sit for a while, see if it bleeds down at all. It's pretty hard. It takes a lot of force to lift this little tractor up. We'll get it up there a ways. Then we'll take a measurement. We'll check it in a half an hour. All right, it's been half an hour or so, and I got a little leak back here. That's from the tractor. But yeah, I see nothing. There's no leakage out of even any of the plugs. I see nothing. It's looking really good. So let's let it down, and I'm going to call it successful. The successful rebuild. I'm going to decide now if I'm going to, wow, that's amazing. This thing used to leak like a sieve. Oh, that's amazing. I'll decide if I'm going to paint it. It's just a matter of whether or not I have time. But this rebuild was a marginal rebuild value-wise. I could have bought a new jack and spent a lot less time, spent a lot more money, but I took a risk. And anyway, it works. This jack is likely to last me the rest of my life. So we'll call it good and move on to something else, unless we decide to paint this. So I finished fixing this jack a couple weeks ago. It's been sitting around the shop. I've used it a couple times. Has not leaked a drop. I mentioned that I was maybe going to paint it, suggesting maybe this is a restoration, which for it is not. It was a repair. I wanted to fix an old jack so I'd have a jack that would last me the rest of my life. My shop has been by no stretch a showcase shop. So I don't need a fancy jack. I'm not going to put a lot of time into painting this. I've just started sanding it and cleaning it off with acetone. Handy Daddy, keep the babies out of my shop, please. Don't bring your babies to my shop. But this little baby bottle works awesome for dispensing acetone. Works really good. Anyway, clean it up with acetone. I'm going to sand it, and I'm going to paint it with either this Rust-Oleum paint, which is a color that I use a lot. I like this color. I've also got a rattle can of orange paint that I might use. I haven't decided which I'm going to use. I think this is a little more durable. I'm not sure if I'll prime it to go to that much effort or not, but I'm just getting going on it, cleaning up all the nooks and crannies. I'm not going to take it apart. I'm just going to clean it. I'm just going to paint it. And it'll look nice, and I'll be done. Move on to the next project, which stands behind you in the form of a duck boat. So that's it for now. I'm going to go ahead and try this oil-based alkyd enamel with a chip brush here on this part. See what kind of coverage I get. Let it dry overnight. Just because I like the color of this better than what I got in a rattle pan, and I have plenty of that paint. We'll just let it dry. No primer. Quick and dirty. Hey, it's just a floor jack. And yes, I know a chip brush is not for painting, and I know the bristles will come loose. But again, it's just an old floor jack. I'm done with this project. The paint job turned out as good as I thought it would. I painted a lot faster using the quart can of enamel paint. Dried quickly, overnight, surprisingly. It's going to hold up just fine for whatever I use it for. The jack works fine. I'm still glad I did it. I put a lot of time into this, more time than most people might think were warranted for an old jack. But I guess the point was, number one, so that I'd have a jack that hopefully lasts me the rest of my life. The second point was really that you don't have to throw everything away. Most anything can be fixed. Some things aren't worth the time to fix them because new products are so cheap, but it's nice to rebuild a better quality, older tool. Maybe it'll give you better service than a new, cheaper one. Regardless of that, it definitely gives you a level of satisfaction that you might not get from buying a Chinese piece of equipment. Not that I'm opposed to Chinese equipment because I have plenty of it, but it was just a fun project. I'm glad I did it. Jack works great, and I'll be using it for probably the rest of my life. And it's been 3 weeks, it hasn't leaked, and I've used it a couple times. I really don't anticipate any issues. So until the next project, I will see you then. Might be the project behind me, which is a boat. I'll be building a little duck boat, one of several duck boats that I've built. But thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.